All right, so now I want to go over some tips and tricks for working with a hand-drawn animation. The one thing that I've done since the last video is I have completed the waves for the pond, but I think I might want to do a few other things. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to turn off onion skin so I can just kind of play through this and see what it looks like. And, looking through it, I think I want to see a few more fish and maybe a little bit more complexity in the waves. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make some more waves simply by duplicating my pond waves layer, which I can do by right-clicking or simply right-clicking or control-clicking and saying duplicate layer, or I can simply drag it to the new layer icon, which will duplicate it, or I can press Command and J. So now I have two layers on top of each other. And if I just offset them a little bit, I will effectively have two layers playing slightly different ways at different times. And what I might want to do is I might want to change the opacity of one of them. Right, so I have more intense and less intense waves. Right, and this is an easy way to kind of get around without actually messing anything up. I'm going to press Command and J to get another layer. So there's even a little bit more complexity with those waves. And I'm going to do something similar with the fish, and this is when having your layers named is really nice. So I'm going to press Command and J to duplicate or drag to the new layer icon. And I'm just going to move the fish over here and then get on my move tool. And I should also be able, I need to move it right now. We have a second fish jumping at a different point. And again, I'm going to press Command and J to do that again. And we'll go ahead and move this fish over here so that now when I press play without doing any more actual hand drawing, I have three fish jumping. Now I'll go ahead and I'll do something similar with my sun layer so that I actually do have it reflecting in my pond. So I'm going to press Command and J or duplicate this, sun copy, and I'm just going to double click and call this sun reflection because this will require a little bit more finessing. Right, so what I want to do here is I'm going to go ahead and actually go to my timeline until the sun will actually be reflecting in my pond. Then I'm going to go ahead and drag it down, trying to keep it aligned. And then I have to find it on my timeline. So I'm going to scroll down here and I see it here. And what I'm going to do first, so rather than having it not show up here, I'm just going to drag this here so that effectively it doesn't show up. So I have to drag it one more frame. I'm effectively just cropping it out a little bit here without needing to do any erasing. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Because I will have to do a little bit of erasing here and here. So I'm going to grab my eraser tool now. I'm going to make sure that, yeah, the edge is pretty hard. Never 100%, but pretty close. And then, I don't know, when we're editing photos, I don't like to use the eraser tool, but here, it's okay. Because also with animation, and moving images, you don't have to be quite as precise because you don't see the frame for nearly as long. Right, so I probably want to ideally be a little bit better than that, but whoops. Right, and this is where you can't really actually use a layer mask in this case like we would with the still image because the image is moving too much and we can't necessarily adjust the layer mask in the same ways. All right, so now I'm going to come over here. Right, and again, I'd probably be a little bit more careful here than I am being, but nevertheless, there we are. All right, so now when I press play, the sun moves across there, and the only thing I have left to do here to make sure my timeline, my scrubber is over the actual layer here, is I can play around with different here, but I think I'm just going to change the opacity some. Okay, so that now when I press play, right, it moves across like that. Okay, very good. All right, so those are some tricks. In the next video, we will export this as a GIF and save it as a Photoshop document.